We'll call this meeting to order. Call the roll, please.
Kinsey,
Here.
Logston,
Here.
Mossberg,
Here.
Parker,
Here.
Turner.
Here.
We have a quorum. We'll go to the next item. Number 3, approval of minutes of regular meeting held on December 9th, 2019.
Move we approve the minutes from December 9th.
Wait a second.
I have a second, a motion and a second. We'll call the roll, please.
Parker,
Yes.
Mossberg,
Yes.
Turner,
Yes.
Logston,
Yes.
Kinsey.
Yes.
We'll go on to item 4, reports from staff. First one is the city council report.
I don't have much to report. The only thing I'll probably share, and Joe Don can chime in if you like, but we did not get fully implemented with the Next Step system, and so there's still some things that Joe Don's working out with that, and the council may have to do some stuff too, but if you'll recall, that's the human resources and timekeeping system. Anything to add, Joe Don?
Well, we were going, we were going live with the payroll part of it. So the payroll is coming up Thursday. Staff has been working very diligently, getting hours in and things like that, getting things processed. We should be able to see tomorrow or first thing Wednesday what the payroll will look like, so we can compare it and do some analysis to make sure it is right. Checks should be ready Thursday.
Okay.
Any questions?
Anything else, city council? Okay, we'll go on to the next item, manager's report.
Okay, last month fuel sales, did $8,157.77 off the gas pump. Did a 400-gallon truck transfer, did a 1.1 gallon test sample because we replaced the swivel on the reel out here that was leaking, so that's where that 1.1 gallons went. We had sold 400.8 gallons off the truck. So our total gallons sold last month, 100 load lead was 2,390 and a half gallons at $9,881.21. Then I had one truck transfer off the Jet A pump, put 1,250 gallons over on the Jet A truck. We sold at 1,124 gallons over wing, 412 gallons single point for a total of 1,536 gallons at $5,222.40. Total fuel sales last month were $15,103.61. We did $41.19 worth of oil sales. The tax on that was $3.81. We had 4 nights of transient hangar rental. So our total sales last month, $15,208.61, and I think our last year was about the same, $15,520, so that same ballpark. Had the FAA and our technician that maintains the AWAS were out this, I think it was the 19th of December. They replaced the obstruction light on the AWAS tower out there. He did all this tests and check between the technician and the FAA inspector. There's a new FAA inspector that's doing that for our area. He was a little, I guess, displeased. When we hire any airport that hires these technicians, you have to have them on a retainer. When you do that, they're supposed to be out minimum of 3 times a year to check all your equipment, and we haven't seen our guy out. I never had even met the guy till 2 months ago. But anyway, we passed. I just got the report from the FAA today about the AWAS inspection. Our technician will be back out. There's a couple of little things that he needs to do. He's gonna work his way back this way. When he gets out, I'm gonna sit down and talk to him about trying to get on a schedule where he gets out here like he's supposed to 3 times a year. We were actually out of inspection. They didn't do it last year because the inspector retired. So it was just kind of a fiasco, but we are up and running. So we just got a few little glitches that we have to get worked out on the AWAS. There's some remarks on there that shouldn't be on there, so he's gonna get back out and get all that fixed. If you guys wanna see the letter, I can pass it around. It's not, just kind of says what they did. And like I said, when he gets back out, I'll just sit down and talk to him, see if he can be a little more diligent on getting out here. So, they are one of the cheapest places. Most places that you have to have are about twice what we're paying him. So, that's about all I can say on the AWAS inspection. So, any questions about that? So, if not, on the 20th, 4 days before Christmas, we were warming up the ag gas truck, as we always do. It blew one of the freeze plugs out. It had a rubber freeze plug in it, ran all the antifreeze out of it. We got it shut down, got it fixed the next day. We did put a drive-in freeze plug back in there, so hopefully we won't have this problem again. Then we had 38 transient aircraft that signed the guest book last month, so, and that's about all I got until we talk about the Odell's lights, so.
Any questions for Matt, Airport Manager? If not, we'll go on to the next item. Item number 5, discussion and recommendation on the installation of the ODALS for the Alva Airport.
Okay, I can start this off. The OAC contacted us, right after the last meeting, and approached us about putting an Odell system out here. It would extend about 1,500 feet from the north end of the runway, and it would that would put it into the. It's hard to tell. It put it out about midway through the city, the city's farmland across the road. And I'm going to be, I know nothing about an Odell system. I do not know what it entails, how bright it is, or anything else. So I listed the only possible concerns I had were that at night, the light, if the brightness of the light, if it was pretty bright, could affect the homestead, the neighborhood to the west, and the apartment building to the east. Could, if it's if we're got to have a strip of land that is not tilled, it may put a kink into the farmlands that we have leased. I don't know. But y'all, I figured most of you being pilots would know more about that than I do. As far as what that would entail. I mean, the only thing I can relate it to is when I look at something like flying, if I'm flying into Will Rogers or the Lawton Commercial Airport, which is, I know, much larger than us, but that's the only thing I've got to relate it back to. I just don't know. So, if you want to go ahead, and if you feel like this is a thing we should do, The total estimated cost by OAC is between $300,000 and $400,000. The airport would be responsible for about 5% of this cost, and we would need to submit a letter of interest to OAC.
Is that for the next fiscal year then, project?
There is not, I do not have a timeline on it. Greg may
Way
have
out.
some information on that.
Graydon Artie's called out here and talked to me about it, and then he sent me the two papers you guys have. They're doing these, they've done them, I think, at 3 other airports already, and they must have some grant money, because they're pretty much, if you say you wanna do it, they're getting on it and getting it done.
When they key the mic to turn the runway lights on, they sound for what, 15 minutes?
15 minutes. That's the way I find it out here, and I've been pretty diligent
The way I
about it.
understood it.
Anyway, we have our reels lights at the north end. I've had a bunch of problems with them. We've had Libra Electric out twice. They threw parts at them, threw parts at them, threw parts at them. They are working, but they are still not working like they're supposed to work. And I've been kind of
So we would,
expressing my displeasure that we can't get them fixed. We put new circuit boards in them, we put new switches on them, we put new master switches on them. So, by going to the odals, those reels will go away. On both ends of the fields, they will be omnidirectional approach lights, which will work just a little bit different than the reels. And along with those two, the first, after the two where the reels are, the next one would be 300 foot, the next one would be 600 foot. There would be a line of them out there, 5 of them, out from 300 foot from the end of the runway. So that's gonna move. The 3 lights on the south side of Harper would be basically, one light would be in our little grass area inside our safety zone. The next 2 lights would be in the tilled ground. Then the last 2 lights would be in the hay field that the city owns, that I guess we lease, and he hays it, I believe, over there. So so if you're coming from Share, the first 2 lights are gonna be off to the south and the east there. You'd have 2 lights in Harper Street, and then 3 lights coming up to the end of the runway. So, with the first one being 300 foot out. So, I just took a measuring wheel out there and kind of got an idea. I mean, a measuring wheel's not real accurate, but they would be in a sequence. It's just a sequence of strobes down through there till your 2 come on. And I asked 2 pilots that I know that do instrument approaches. They said anything that we can do to benefit an instrument approach, they are all for, but it's all up to what we want to do. So,
I did some research today on this before I came to educate myself, and normally this light system is used in connection with instrument approaches. And what it does, it helps you orientate yourself in relationship to the runway. And I have a feeling the reason they suggested the north end as opposed to south end is because of all the lights and the potential for confusion down there for pilots.
perfect. And the other thing is, they did, in case of runway expansion to the south at a later date, then, if they expanded
That's
the
all it
runway,
is.
then they might do it.
That's what's popping up, that's what I'm seeing at the smaller airport, that's all it is. Where it's popped up out of the ground to where, we could do a strip, or you could have a 20-foot radius around it that's not tilled.
Well,
You know.
Toby suggested just leaving like a 20-foot, that you wouldn't tilt, just let it go back to grass, as long as we can get out there to change bulbs and stuff. But everything's going LED anymore, so he said, chances are you probably wouldn't have to change the bulb, but they do want a designated spot, that you would let go back to grass. So basically, on the north end, that's just gonna mean the guy's gonna have to kind of break that patch from one big patch into two smaller ones, you know, he's just gonna have to take his tractor up on the road, you know, and come back down. And then on the hayfield, I mean, that guy uses a small enough tractor, but I did contact the farmer here and was gonna ask him, you know, hey, you run a big articulating tractor, will this really throw you off if you have to break this into two patches? But he'd still have a lot on the east and the west side of it, so.
So if they use, like this particular company here, you have 3 levels of intensity that can be activated by the pilot.
And that is dependent too, I did talk to our engineer, we can set these up, and this is his suggestion, we can set these up where they will only come on when a pilot keys up for the high setting. They wouldn't even come on when a pilot turns the runway to low or medium. He said, what? He said, and he kind of brought up the point, he said, why would you want them on medium if you're breaking out of that nasty of weather? He said, we could set it up where they would just come on high, and that would be the only time that they came on.
Every pilot come in, keys their mic so many times, they always want it on high.
So,
I'll
They
say-
key their mic and then they'll wait, then they'll come on and then they'll key their mic again and try to get it brighter and brighter. So it's always gonna be kicked on to high.
So, well, what they
but if they
say,
did go to 3 or 5, I'm
I've
sorry.
flown a lot of instrument approaches,
Yeah.
and the strobe light really helps you, particularly in the fog. And I think it'd be a good thing for our airport, anything we can do to upgrade it. It won't be used that much. If it comes on with runway lights, it'll just be on for 15 minutes, and it'll be off. And if he sets it up like he's talking about, then
There are a few that come in here that only key up 5 times, and that'd be medium intensity on the runway lights, and that wouldn't even kick them on.
anyway, that way you wouldn't get it very long.
You know-
Happening for very long. We're not, talking about a bunch of bright lights in your backyard continuously.
I
And
hope,
the other thing I think is that if, the airback sometimes comes in with a king air, not a helicopter. And so if
That's
the
right.
weather's bad, this could allow him to come in and evacuate somebody
Then we're in
where,
4 o'clock.
without him, he might not be able to.
I don't think
And I
you'd ever
think
notice.
also that,
I don't think
the, would bring money into the community in the people setting this up, and the people probably have the motel and anything we can get a leg up on another airport like Woodward or something, I think we should do it unless it's,
the price is right.
Yeah,
5%.
right.
And he said our big thing here is going to be getting under the road, and he said really even going under the road. He said some of these they've got done for like $200,000. He said that's just a rough idea of what he put in the letter to us. He said some could be a little more, some could be a little less. He said he's looked at everything on Google Earth and
So is this get a bid and all that, or is this they're gonna just come in and do it?
Well, I think that if we, I think this is where we need to have some conversation with, OAC, is this may be, the way I read it, this would be their project. We'd just have, so they would get the bids and they would do everything. All we'd have to do is supply the money, kinda like what we did with ODOT, down at the traffic signal.
Okay.
And I think
Now, I could be
actually
wrong
our
on that.
engineering company, because Toby has called me too about this, our new engineering company. Now, I don't know if he's working, I think they might be working with the OAC to do all these that they're doing. And it just happened, that they're our engineering company too, but like I said, Toby said, man, we could set it up, where they don't even come on low or medium intensity. He said we could set it up that they could bring them up to on high intensity, and then after they get on the ground, they could key it down 3 times down and bring the runway lights down to low, and then we'll shut them off, and you'd still have your runway lights. So he said there's a lot of things we can do as far as
It sounds like we need to do it. Do we need to, offer damages or anything like that for the remainder of the current lease on the ag land?
Well, what I think we should do.
Right, depends on when they do it.
Yeah, I think what we should do is go ahead and submit our letter of intent, talk with OAC about when they think the project would hit us, and maybe we could time it where it was not in the time, it was right after tilling, or right after harvest, and I could talk, any damages we may have to pay across the street would be minimal, because the lease is minimal.
I would,
Oh, no, but I understand it wouldn't be that much for us, but
Across
it'd
the
be the
street.
right, just to be the right thing to do.
Yeah, I think it would be.
One thing, Joe Don, that Toby called me about this yesterday. He did say one thing that would help them, and I assume, which you know what that means, but that Harper Street is a city street, correct?
That is correct.
He said one thing that we could do, he said if we could find out what utilities are there, he said that would just be one less step for us on the project if we had some type of locator map, you know, if there's sewer there, gas, whatever.
Well, there's water and sewer
And
out
natural
there.
gas.
But we do a call Okie Dig and
Yeah,
have them mark it
right.
Yeah,
and
there's
find
water.
out. That doesn't cost us anything.
I know there's water, there's sewer, there's natural gas,
I
there's
was assuming
OG&E.
You know, probably telephone, maybe.
Yeah, should be telephone.
What is this something we can go ahead and approve, or do we need to make a recommendation to the city
I
council?
think that because it's the way it is, the airport can approve the letter of intent and letter of interest, and then we'll go from there. I don't think that it would be just the same as the FAA. The city's not having to sign a contract on this, to my knowledge, right now.
Okay.
As long as the city doesn't have to sign a contract on it, like it does with FAA grants, then I don't think there's a reason to
Did you get that?
just make the recommendation and make it go to city council.
That's what he sent me, so
I would,
I thought you guys.
So then, we,
That's what he sent me.
would be moving to
Oh,
sign a letter
I
of
mean, if you guys want to look at
Intent.
it before you.
Letter of interest.
interest.
That's the way.
An example of it's was provided.
I move that, we sign a Odell's letter of interest.
Second?
got a motion and a second, any discussion? If not, call the roll, please.
Parker,
Yes.
Kinsey,
Yes.
Logston,
Yes.
Turner,
yes,
Mossberg.
Yes.
This will go on, the motion passed, we'll go on to item 6, update on installation of water lines at the airport.
Just wanted to kind of give you a heads up on this. One of the reasons that it's taking so long is because of the length of line. We're having to go get a permit from DEQ. Right now, that permit, we're in the application stages. DEQ is evaluating it. We have not got that permit yet. We will not be able to start until we have that permit in hand. Once we have that permit in hand, we'll end up contracting the project out and get a plumber out of here to start the installation.
Okay. Any questions? If not, we'll go on to the next item, remarks and inquiries by airport commission members.
I assume the replacement of the fire hydrant was to fix the leak down there?
Yes, yes.
And we got that accomplished?
Well, and then it started raining, but the waters went away one time until we got rain, so hopefully when it gets dried out, I'm gonna go out there and back there, I guess, and see.
Okay.
But there was something down there below that was broke on the fire hydrant, so, yeah, that's why they're doing it.
Couple weeks, all of Alva's gonna be out here for the Chamber of Commerce Gala at Bob's Hangar. So, be a busy place for a few hours.
Any other comments or inquiries? If not, we'll go on to the next item, remarks and inquiries by citizens. No.
Have y'all all met Michael? A part-time help?
Yeah.
Mike Martinez.
Okay.
Michael Martinez.
Okay.
He started 4 days before Thanksgiving.
We'll adjourn.